What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review for SummerSlam 2022. Jesus H. Christ, bro. What a fucking show. More specifically, what a main event, bro. That match, Brock, Roman, last man standing match, was absolutely fucking insane. That was low-key probably the best matches I've ever seen. Literally, I'll keep my thoughts on the rest of the match till we get to there. But love the match, man. Without the highlight of the show. The rest of the show, I thought was really well done. There was a lot of great matches. I don't think there was really any matches that really knocked my socks off as much as at least the main event did. That one obviously didn't just knock my socks off, but yeah. Now, first thing we gotta talk about. We gotta talk about the game. I wanted to talk about this here just because I haven't really mentioned it outside of Twitter, and I was tempted. No lie, I was tempted on making a video about this when this news dropped, but didn't end up getting a chance to when the news initially dropped. But yeah, Vince is gone, and Triple H is now head of creative. I'm gonna keep this brief just because I want to try and keep this video under 50 minutes. But obviously I'm super excited for this news. If you guys follow me on Twitter, y'all know I was going insane, bro. I was tweeting shit left, right, and center, bro. I was so happy when I heard this news that the game was going to be head of creative on the main roster, and assumingly possibly also be going back to NXT. Because we all saw how great NXT was. And looks like NXT's back in its glory days, and now the game is in charge. And of course, we also had what happened, who appeared later on the show. But besides that, man, this show was incredible, man. A lot of really great matches, man. And yeah, the game is now head of creative, and I'm a very happy man. Anyway, guys, without further ado, let's just jump right into the actual show. So the first match we started off the card with was Becky and Bianca. Now, this was a great match. I thought this was a great way to open the show. I don't know if I would say it was better than the WrestleMania match, but it was still a great match in its own right, man. Becky, which I was speaking of Becky real quick. Her gear, I don't know if this was, I got a lot of Jean Grey when she had the Phoenix Force type vibes. I don't know if that's what Becky was going for, or maybe she was paying homage like maybe Alundra Blaze or somebody else. I don't know. I liked her gear, but like I said, I got a lot of Phoenix Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force vibes. I don't know if that was the look she was going, or if that was something completely different, but I liked her gear. I also gotta say I loved Bianca's gear, because as you guys know, she is from Tennessee as well. She came out there in very cowboy, or just cowgirl type clothing with like the jeans and like the little string things on the side. Bianca also had like this like metal thing, or I don't know what it was, on top of her hair, on the front part of her hair, that I thought with like this pattern on it. I thought it looked really cool, man. And so yeah, shout out to Bianca, man, because you guys to know she makes all her gear herself. She does all this shit. So shout out to her, man. She's great at this shit, man. I love her gears whenever for the big pay-per-view. She usually goes ham on those, man. They always look really good. But yeah, this one looked really good. I love her gear for tonight's match. So anyway, Becky started off on the offense for a good majority of the match, but eventually once Becky goes for that like leg drop she does off the top rope when her opponent is like draping over is on the outside, and they're like draping over the second rope. She goes for that, but Bianca manages to counter it into a powerbomb. And after that is when Bianca starts to get a little bit more offense in there. She tries to, when they're both on the outside, Becky tries to use the braid when they're in between one of the ring posts, but Bianca manages to pull her back in there and smash right into the ring post, who had her hit a KOD on the outside before they went back in. So eventually, after the KOD on the outside and they get back in the ring, Bianca goes up to the top rope, and Bianca manages to stop her. They both get up there, they go at it, but Bianca manages to push her up. But Becky manages to still keep holding on to Bianca's braid, which I swear to God, that braid's gotta be a bitch to maintain, man. Like, having hair that long, it has to be a bitch to maintain. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, she still manages to hold on to Bianca's braid. Bianca jumps up from the top rope, gets down to the both there. Becky hits the manhandle slam, goes for the pin. I legit thought this was going to be a 3 count, and then we're going to repeat from last year's SummerSlam, on this time the match was going to be way longer. But thankfully, Bianca kicks out, which, thank God, bro, because I even tweeted it out. You had me going there for a second, bro, because I thought that was going to be 3. Anyway, We end the match off with Becky on the with Bianca once again on the top rope, I believe. Becky gets on top there, goes for a manhandle slam off the top rope, but Bianca manages to counter into a Spanish fly. KOD 1, 2, 3. That was the end of the match. Great match, a great way to start the show, man. But obviously, the best part of the match was what happened after the match, because when the match ended, Bayley made her triumphant return. Now, I'm pretty sure she's been cleared for a little bit now. I think, or maybe I misremembered. She was always injured. But you guys know Bayley's been injured for a while, but she's finally back. I forget what she was doing. I think it had something to do with like her leg or something, one of her legs or something. But she's back. Obviously, I was hyped for Bayley. I was like, yes, Bayley's back. Let's go. But that wasn't all. Up, then it comes my girl Dakota Kai. She is back in the company. She got released. I honestly completely forgot she even did get released. I thought she was still with the company. But yeah, Triple H obviously brought back in Dakota Kai. Obviously, I pop big for that because you guys know I love Dakota Kai. One of my favorites from NXT. But then my girl Io Shirai comes in there, bro, and I pop big for Io, man. You guys know how much I love Io Shirai, and I was so happy to see her because we've obviously heard a lot of rumors. Is she staying with the company? Is she leaving? Blah, 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 blah. Even Io would later comment, I think she tweeted like rumors, like a vomit emoji. Now, apparently, I don't know if this has been confirmed yet, but apparently I saw a tweet up there that said that PW, and because the reason I say it is because JD hasn't mentioned anything about it yet. He's about his reviews, but after I watch his review, maybe they don't talk about her, maybe he doesn't know. But apparently, Io Shirai is going to be having her name changed, and she's going to be going by Io Sky, if I'm pronouncing that right. Which, yes, it's similar to Io Shirai, and it basically is the same thing, man. It's not that much of a different of a pronunciation or of the name in general, man, but why? What purpose does it serve, man? Like, it's a cool name. Most people are like, oh, yeah, you know, it's a good name. Like, it's not the worst name I've ever heard. But it's just like, why, though? Why give Io a name after she comes back? Why does she need to go by Io Sky rather than just Io Shirai, you know? But whatever. I don't know if this is actually confirmed or not, but yeah. I tweeted out for fuck's sake when I saw that, bro. I was like, for God's sake, man, enough with the name changes. But yeah, Io's back regardless. Now, this obviously begs the question. If Triple H is bringing back in Dakota Kai, who was released, and then of course we had Samoa Joe when he got released a while ago back on NXT. Who else? And now the game is now both his head of talent relations and his head of creative. His wife is the boss. Who else could he bring back that Vince released from NXT? Obviously, I'm sure people are going to be crying out for Bronson Reed or Dexter Lumis. All great names. Johnny Gargano, of course, my man Johnny, although he wasn't released, but obviously I would love to see him get Mauro Ranallo is another name I would love to see back in NXT. Don't know if that's going to happen, which will there was something funny about Mauro later on the show. But anyway, but there's one name that really interested me. Tegan Knox. My girl Tegan. Now, the fact that Dakota Kai came back in there, I almost feel like Dakota and Io, or Dakota and Tegan are like a package deal. Just given what happened in NXT. So, and we have Clash at the Castle next month. And for you guys that don't remember, Tegan, when she returned back, I believe this is when she started to debut the Captain Marvel gear from her second knee surgery. She came back at TakeOver Cardiff. So, could we perhaps bring in Tegan back and have her debut with Clash at the Castle, her hometown? I would hope so. I would love to see Tegan back in a company. She should have never gotten released in the first place, man. But yeah, hopefully Tegan's going to be coming too next month, and maybe she'll be joining Bayley's new faction. I would love to see that because I love Tegan. So yeah, please Triple H resign her. I love Tegan, man. But yeah, phenomenal, a great match. And a phenomenal segment with Bayley and others. And of course, they would eventually have a face-off. But eventually, Becky would come in there to back up Bianca. And eventually, Bayley and her others would retreat. So yeah, great stuff. Can't wait to see what's going to happen on Raw. And please re-sign Tegan Knox. So then we had Logan Paul versus The Miz. Which, honestly, I didn't really give a shit about this match going in. You guys know I have been I haven't kept my feelings about the Pauls a secret. You guys know I don't fucking like either of them. But, you know, I've obviously can tell Logan's grown and everything from, you know, what happened with the Suicide Force and all that shit. I mentioned this all in my WrestleMania review. But, yeah, still don't like him. still don't like him. Still don't like either of them. But, I will say, I mentioned this before at the WrestleMania review, how Logan looked really fucking good in that match. And he had a very good show. And I also mentioned how good he was, that he knew how to get heat. I would definitely continue that goes on here. He was phenomenal in this match. And I would definitely say between him and Pat McAfee, he had the better showing. Although I think that might have just been because the ropes might have been slippery when Pat was in there, because apparently it was like super hot and humid in Nashville at that night. And of course, with all the other matches that were going before there, no surprise the rings probably were a bit slippery because Pat was having, there was a lot of stumbling from Pat. Like he couldn't get his footing a lot of the time. But whatever the case may be on that, Logan looked absolutely incredible in this match. I was hoping with Tommaso in there, I was hoping now that, you know, Triple H is right there, I was hoping that the match would end with Tommaso turning on The Miz, beating the shit out of him, and we get back to Tommaso Ciampa, how he was in NXT, being the great sports, and maybe even, you know, hitting like Willow's Bell or Fairy Tale ending on Logan Paul 2. That would have also got a huge pop from the crowd, you know, which I wish they did, but unfortunately Tommaso ended up leaving the match. But yeah, anyway, let's continue on to the match. So, started off, Miz like, oh, you know, tries to go for the collar elbow, and then, you know, he does, and then Miz does this thing, goes like, while they're like riding the ropes and everything, while Miz is, Logan is sit up on the floor. Miz does, you know, Miz goes for like that kick thing, you know, when they're down, go for the favor, but then like Logan blocks it, but Miz doesn't do anything until Logan like pulls his hands out, then he just like does a little tap for him to take him out, you know, be like, ha ha ha, you're a rookie, fuck off, you're not on my level or whatever, you know. So you had that. So then eventually Logan would like return the favor later in the match, which I always enjoy shit like that. But anyway, after that we also had looked like Logan was hitting like stiffing Miz a little bit, probably like his chopped in, probably from just his inexperience because this is only his second match. And it looks like, and this is something JD mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised this might have been the case, is that Miz dished out a receipt to Logan Paul for maybe stiffing him a bit too much. Where Logan was on the second rope, his legs were like split up on like hanging off, like were split up on the second rope. Like he has legs spread out, and they were on the second rope. And then Miz goes in there and does a code breaker from the second rope. I wouldn't be surprised if that was meant to be like a receipt for all the stiffing him with like the chops and everything. But you had that. You also had a lot of other really incredible spots with Logan Paul, where he hit like a swanton bomb off the top rope to the outside on Miz, a standing moonsault. That looked really cool. And of course the big one was a really damn good looking frog splash off the top rope onto the announce table, which it looked like he might not make, but he made it perfectly. It looked incredible, man. So yeah, like I said, shout out to Logan Paul, man. The dude, say what you will about him, you know, the man knows his shit. Also, this is something I didn't even notice, but JD mentioned this in the review, and I thought I might mention it here. When Logan locks in the figure 4 leg lock. While he's locking in, he like throws his back onto the ground constantly to add additional pressure and JD mentioned this because apparently that's like an old school way of how the figure 4 was applied. I guess this was back when Ric Flair was back in his prime. I don't know, maybe other people also use the figure 4, but obviously the figure 4 is synonymous with Flair. But yeah, so he's like, oh, I don't know who's training him, but you know, hey, shout out to him and shout out to Logan for kind of going a little bit old school by like throwing his back while throwing his back to the floor onto the mat to add additional pressure while he's locking in the figure 4. I didn't even know that, you know, but so that's pretty cool. And hey, shout out to Logan Paul, man. That definitely shows his commitment to there. So, you know, shout out to him. Shout out to him, man. Shout out to him. So yeah, also you also had AJ Styles, you also had Tommaso like getting involved a couple of times, and then like Red Fancy catches him, but Tommaso says he doesn't even leave. He's like, no, he like grabs a steel chair, sits it out, and just sits on the rope. He doesn't refuse to go. I thought what he was doing is he was gonna do the whole like clap thing, rapidly clapping and patting himself on the back thing like he usually does and didn't. Eventually AJ Styles comes in there, he takes him out, throws him into the outside, and they disappear. Logan would also hit a phenomenal forearm. It was the weakest phenomenal forearm I've ever seen. Didn't look particularly good, man. But anyway, Logan Paul wins the match with the Skull Crusher finale. 1, 2, 3. Good match. Very impressed by Logan Paul's performance, and yeah, man. Yeah, good match. Not the worst, nothing insult, nothing, terrible, nothing. Just a solid enough match that did what it was supposed to do. Also, one other thing I want to talk about before we jump right into Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley. Right before this match, we had this little like segment with Maximum Male Models, which also had LA Knight make his return, which was nice to see because apparently he was kicked off of Maximum Male Models because Vince thought he was shit, but then because Triple H isn't a fucking idiot like Vince is, he brought him back to Maximum Male Models. So cool that LA Knight's back with this new woman. I don't know her name. But yeah, me personally, not a fan of this gimmick. I honestly think we should just let LA Knight should just be LA Knight and just be a single guys rather than all this Maximum Man Model shit with Mansoor. But whatever. But this segment was ridiculous because you have them doing this modeling thing with Mansoor and the black dude. And they're like, oh yes, he's like, oh, Mansoor, my throat is parched. And the woman comes in like, hey, can we get my models some water? And after that, this Loki turns into like a softcore porn or something. Where they're all just like drinking the water in a little bit more seductive ways. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching, bro? I tweeted out like, what the fuck am I watching? I was laughing, it was funny, but I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? So yeah, this is also when later on the segment goes on. That's when LA Knight makes. I was like, hey, LA Knight, so cool, it's back. Anyway, next up we have Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory. Austin Theory came out rocking Wolverine colors, which was nice to see. Johnny Gargano represent. And yeah, this match was also pretty good. Nothing really to write home about. Bobby Lashley was dominating a good chunk of the match, but Austin Theory managed to Boston. While Bobby Lashley was going after him for like a spear or something, Austin managed to get out of the ring and Bobby he got speared right into the post man, got sent into the fifth dimension. Eventually, around later in the match, Austin just said, fuck this shit, grabbed his briefcase and was trying to leave, but Bobby stopped him, and eventually Bobby locks in the hurt lock to win the match and get the 1, 2, 3. Or not 1, 2, 3. He taps out. That's not what I was saying. But yeah, he taps out, and of course, Bobby Lashley wins the match and retains the title. No surprise there. We all know that Boston Theory has bigger fish to fry with the Money in the Bank with the Money in the Bank contract. So yeah. Also, one other thing I want to talk before we jump right into the Mysterios match. Well, this match was also pretty good. Well, this match was also fine for what it was as well. Was on commentary. The commentary throughout the entire show was really good from both Michael Cole, Corey Graves, everyone on there. Probably because Vince isn't constantly screaming in their ear, but the commentary was great. One thing that I found really funny, and this actually caused JVL to tread, was I forget when in the match when the show this was. That's why I'm mentioning it here because I don't remember where it was and why I'm still remembering this because this was fucking hilarious. Somewhere during the show, Corey mentioned something like, can I run for mayor? I think this might have been after Kane did his thing. Where he's like, where Corey Graves is wondering if he could also run for like mayor or something, and Michael Cole says, with how many skeletons in your closet you have, you're worse than JBL. When Michael Cole low-key called out JBL, bro, I was in tears, bro. Which is very fitting and worse because for some reason both JBL and Corey have some weird beef with Morrow. If you guys remember, it was back when Morrow was doing SmackDown. You guys may know if you were like into the dirt sheets or whatever, which I wasn't, but I found this out later. Was that where JBL was apparently constantly bullying Morrow when they were on SmackDown. And then, of course, when Morrow went to NXT, and then, of course, he had the Survivor Series when NXT was involved, Morrow was going to come in there and commentate the NXT title match. But Corey said some shit on Twitter, and then Morrow had to pull out. So, yeah. Both of them got some weird beef with Morrow. I don't know. Maybe they both realize Morrow is a far superior commentator than them both, and they're just jealous at how good Morrow is or something. I don't know, but I thought that was funny, and it worked until they all have this weird beef with Morrow. Either way, I thought it was funny. So then we had the Mysterios and the Judgment Day. This was a solid match. You had Bray doing his thing. You actually had Ray grabbing a steel chair and sliding under the bottom rope to hit that hits directly. I believe it was Finn that ended up taking the steel chair shot. You also, of course, the Mysterios would eventually end up winning the match. But obviously, the highlight of this match was obviously Edge coming back in his vampire form or Brood form. That looked really cool. You had the fire and his sunglasses on. Looked badass. Couldn't tell if he was coming back to Malingus or it was some other track, but yeah, solid match, man. Rhythm Mysterio's won, and yeah, man, pretty good match all around. Nothing really too crazy, but yeah, it was about what you expected. Next up, we of course had Boom Ass Corbin. Had to do it at least once, man. Had to do it at least once. Happy Corbin versus Pat McAfee. This was also a really good match as well for what it was. And so, so this I thought was pretty funny was the entrance. So Happy Corbin makes his entrance. He does his thing, but eventually he hears Bomb Axe Corbin, and he starts hearing this a couple more times. Like, where the fuck this is coming from? Eventually, we see at like around like the top of the stadium, there's a choir of people all chanting Bob Ass Corbin. And then Pat McAfee eventually comes out there. He's rocking new theme music for some reason. I don't know why this is literally like his third. I'm pretty sure this is like his third theme music. You had a theme music when he was in NXT. You had the track he had at WrestleMania, which was I forget the exact song of it, but I found. After I Shazammed, I couldn't stop listening to it for a bit because it's a pretty catchy song, man. I like it. Then they changed it again. This time it's a bit more like chantable and it works with the crowd. I thought it was fine, but I don't know why they felt the need to change the theme music for a third time, you know. But hey. Pat makes his entrance. They do their thing. Like I said, Pat McAfee once again a solid showing. Although he was a little bit rough out there, and I think this might have just been from the ropes being slippery. Like there was like when Pat does that thing where he like leaps all the way on top of the top rope to go for the superplex. He did that, but he ended up not landing on his feet on the ropes. It was like his knees that managed to get up there, and he kind of readjust there. There was another time where he was on the top rope, about to hit Baron Corbin from the outside, but like he low-key lost his footing for a hot second. And he had to like rebalance himself, man. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this was probably just the rope might have been like really sweaty because apparently also G mentioned apparently Ray also kind of like slipped up at one part of the match, so the ropes just might have been slippery or something. Which fair enough, man. One thing I did really like about this match that I really liked was, you guys know when Baron Corbin, when he slides into the outside of the ring, circles around one of the ring posts and comes right back in there for a clothesline. Pat actually caught him and managed to dive kick him right before he could get back in, which is cool to see because Baron Corbin has done this move so many times and I've like never seen anybody like counter him or block him when he's doing this. So it was nice to finally see someone do that, at least that I can remember. I mean, I think there might have been maybe one or two people that have done it since before, but this is the first time that I can remember it. I thought that was really cool to see. As the match, eventually the ref gets knocked out, which then leads to Pat hitting Baron Corbin with a low blow, and eventually he gets the 1, 2, 3. Good match, like I said before, for what it was, but yeah, nothing really to write home about with this match. So next up, we have the Prophet and the Usos. This match was awesome. I love this match. I wish it was longer, and it wasn't as good as I was expecting it to be, given what happened at their Money in the Bank. It was definitely better, but this match was still fantastic as all right, with Jeff Jarrett as a special guest referee. First thing I noticed, and Jeff Jarrett low-key made his presence known here because whenever, someone would be in the corner and they're, like, wailing on their opponent, and Jeff Jarrett's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, the whole counting thing. This man would straight up manhandle him. He wouldn't just grab him. He would manhandle one of the Usos or Anthony Dawkins, and he would just, just manhandle them off them, tell them, hey, listen to my count, yada, yada, yada. So that was pretty cool. Like, all right. So they were going at it, man. Angelo Dawkins eventually would take the straps down and do a jump over the top rope on top of the Usos, bro. That was insane. Montez would of course hit the frog splash. This was later on in the match after he started getting a little injured. The frog splash onto one of the Usos. Lee fall down, and I'm just screaming at my TV, pin him, damn it, pin him. And he goes in there, 1, 2, near fall, and Montez was straight up pissed at Jeff Jarrett for not counting 3. He was screaming at him, that was a 3, and he says, no, he's like, no matter, I don't care what it takes, I'm gonna get it. And he tags in Angelo Dawkins, man. They keep going at, but of course, eventually the Usos would get the win, bro. And yeah, and you can definitely see they're starting to plant the seeds for Montez, maybe turning heel on Angelo Dawkins, and he goes off and do the single. They do the whole fucking Shawn Michaels fucking shit, But yeah, man. This was a fantastic match. I loved it, man, and I was thoroughly entertained by it. And yeah, man. And Montez's face said it all, bro. This man just looked like he was in a fucking trance after he took the L on that one, bro. So next up was the SmackDown Women's Championship match with Liv Morgan and Ronda. This match was fine. This wasn't like the worst match I've ever seen. I wasn't really expecting much with this match, and it was alright. I love the ending. I thought the ending was brilliant. So obviously Ronda was fucking having her way with Liv throughout the entire match. Also, Liv brought back the blue tongue for this match, which I do wonder, how the hell does she do? Is that like some spray she uses? Does she just suck on like 10 blue raspberry Jolly Ranchers to turn her tongue blue? Because, you know, that does happen. Because, you know, because I love Jolly Ranchers, blue raspberry, my favorite flavor. And I have those after I like eat a couple of them, my tongue starts to turn blue. So is that how she gets the blue tongue? I'm curious how she gets the blue tongue. Anyway, also, finally she has her fucking side plates. Took them long enough. Throughout this entire match when I was watching, I was worried that they were going to take the belt off her and put it back on Ronda. Thankfully they didn't, but yeah, this match was also low-key kind of sloppy a little bit. There definitely was a lot of miscommunication with them. Oh, right before we get into that, the match, we did figure out what was going on with Seth Rollins. Like a lot of you were speculating, oh, who is he going to face instead of Matt Riddle? Is it going to be Johnny Gargano, The Fiend? Is it going to be Carmelo Hayes, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Goldberg? You know, I was obviously rooting towards Johnny or you know, Carmelo Hayes. And we were all wrong. We got jack shit. All we got was this little brawl, mini segment going on between them. So Matt Riddle runs into the ring, screaming, going off about Seth Rollins, telling him to get in the ring. And he just goes. Then Seth comes in there. You got a bunch of security members behind Seth trying to stop from getting out there. But then Seth says, fuck that. Charges towards Matt Riddle. They start going at it. Curb stomp. And Seth is out, bro. That is all we got with Seth Rollins. This was a fun segment. I really enjoyed it, but yeah, we know that the match got moved to Clash of the Castle, so that Triple H could add more to the storyline, which you love to see, man. That's one thing that you're definitely noticing from Triple H versus with Vince. And yeah, kind of wish we got the match there, or we got like another match in place that with Seth. But yeah, this was pretty good. Now anyway, back to the match. Back with Ronda. Ronda was just having her way with Liv throughout the entire match. I'm like sweating on the edge of my seat, praying to the wrestling gods. Please don't take the belt off her. Please don't take the belt off her. Please don't take the belt off her. Ronda goes and hits the armbar like 3 or 4 times throughout the entire match. Liv always managed to find a way to get onto the ropes, and yeah, but eventually Ronda would hit the armbar, and then Liv would actually manage to get both her shoulders on the mat when she was in more of a standing position. Liv was, and the ref counted 1, 2, 3. I would scream my head out. I tweet out, "Brilliant! Absolutely brilliant!" As said by Nigel McGuinness out of TakeOver, bro. So I was like, yes, Liv is champion. Liv is still champ, thank God. I did notice her tapping out later on. So eventually Ronda was going up, she tapped out. And then they play the replay. We see that she did tap out. It reminded me a lot of, I believe it was Hell in a Cell 2018. Between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. If you guys remember that pay-per-view, Samoa Joe locked in the the Coquina clutch on AJ Styles, but AJ managed to flip himself over to where basically his leg where basically just his head was still in Samoa Joe's grasp, but the rest of his body was basically over him. And so the ref counted the 1, 2, 3. That's how he managed to stay champion that time. And I believe, and we also found that also AJ had also tapped out at the same time when the ref counted. So that's kind of where I remember that one because they both had very similar endings. But yeah, then eventually after that happens, Ronda turns heel. She starts fucking beating up the fucking ref, which was pretty funny. But yeah, man, this match, good. The ending was phenomenal, man. And yeah, Ronda's now a heel. Cool. So then we had, of course, the main event. The main event. I am not even going to try to recap this match, because there was so much match increases. I'll just go over a handful of my favorite spots. So first off, we had a couple of table spots to start the match off with Roman throwing in Brock Lesnar. There was Rock would hit a total around 7 or 8 suplexes in the entire match. Yes, I counted them. Shout out to Tyrone Magnus though, because when he used to do match reactions, whenever Roman would do, not Roman, when Brock Lesnar would do a suplex, he would be like 3 suplexes. Like the count from Sesame Street. So ever since then, I've been doing it too. So shout out to him. But anyway, we had like 8 suplexes in the match. After that, there was tons of other shit. Brock Lesnar came out in a fucking tractor. So that was insane. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then he eventually would bring the tractor down, have the thing in there that's meant to like grab up dirt and throw it in other places. He would put Roman in there, bring the tractor all the way up as it go, then just have him just flop back to the ring. Then you kept them going at it. Roman, but there were so many near falls with Roman, near counts with Roman and Brock, where they're like just barely managed to make a 9 or just barely managed to get to an 8 or something. A lot of crazy shit. Eventually, this match would, everyone would. The match would get insane, bro. Where then. Brock grabs the tractor and then he puts it under the ring, moves it like 2 feet, and then he just lifts it up. He straight up lifts the ring while Roman's still in there. He flops like it's fucking Fall Guys out of the ring, bro. And then half of the ring is up in the air, held up by the tractor, while the rest of it is on the bottom. God, I felt bad for the people that were in the front row because they probably couldn't see shit past that point. Then they start going at each other. Everyone's barely making count. Spears and fucking suplexes and shit. The Usos would eventually get involved, bro. Paul Heyman would grab the titles, begging Brock Lesnar not to do it. To be like, that's what title change. Here, take him. He straight up hands him the belt. This match was so insane by this point. I was just laughing on the rest of this match. But then Brock, after even all of Paul Heyman's pleas, Brock says, you know what? Fuck this. Grabs Paul Heyman up and fucking kills him with an F5 on the announce table. He straight up murdered Paul Heyman, bro. Then Austin Theory comes out in there with the referee ready to catch the Money in the Bank contract like it's fucking WrestleMania 31 and he's in San Francisco. I was watching this. I was literally getting flashbacks back to WrestleMania 31. Back then I was like begging, no, Dean, where are you to break up the cash in? Because this is of course back then, and now I'm like, no, for the love of God, no, don't cash in, Austin, no. But that wasn't even the craziest part. He eventually didn't manage to cash it in because Brock would stop him. Or I believe I might have been wrong. I forgot. No, it was Brock. I think he hit him with like an F5 on the briefcase. Then Roman and Brock go at each other. Suplexes, spears, everything you can think of. Brock. And then this is when it just gets stupid. Because then Roman would hit spears, hit him with the fucking title every single time. Brock would get back up at 9. And every time the more absurd it got with the shit Roman was doing and how Brock kept getting up, I just couldn't help but just start laughing. I was laughing my ass off. And then while Roman gets frustrated one of the times, when Brock gets up, he grabs the Money in the Bank briefcase and starts hitting Austin Theory with it. I was starting to get flashbacks to SummerSlam 2018 when Brock was doing that to Braun Strowman before he tossed him up the ramp. And I think he even used the briefcase on Brock too. So then he would use that. He would use the WWE Heavyweight Championship. He would get back up. He would use the Universal Championship. He would get back up. Michael Cole would start pleading with the ref to count faster. He would legit start playing with the ref. Count faster, damn it! Which also, speaking of Michael Cole, he definitely laid off the espressos during the Pat McAfee match. I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you guys remember my WrestleMania review, I mentioned how Michael Cole was like weirdly hyped up for the match, like he just drank like 10 espressos right before the match started. Like he definitely laid off on that one. And you also had one other spot that I forgot to mention was where Baron would put the headset on to like talking shit about Pat McAfee's parents, and Michael Cole would be like, "Oh, your parents would be ashamed of you. Focus on the match, not me." And he straight would push Michael Cole, bro. I was like, "Oh shit, we getting serious." You know, but anyway, as I was saying, back to Roman Reigns. Michael Cole starts pleading with the referee, count faster, because Brock would keep getting up at 9. And Roman would just go to more absurd measures to try and keep down. Nothing more. Eventually, they just says, "Fuck it." And then they just start piling random shit on top of him to try and keep him down. Roman gets on top of it all to add that little extra bit of weight. Michael Cole is going off on commentary about how Brock Lesnar can't breathe. He was selling the shit out of this match. Shout out to Michael Cole. The commentary of this entire match was fantastic, bro. And then finally, by the grace of God, the match is over. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is how SummerSlam ends, with one of the greatest matches I have ever seen. I would honestly think it's probably my favorite of the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar matches. If not that, then obviously WrestleMania 31. I would have to rewatch it to know for sure, but I would probably say I like this last Man Standing match just a little bit more, just from how absurd it was in those last like 10 minutes when Brock would just refuse to stay down, bro. Oh my god. Anyway, guys, that's where we're doing this video off. Overall, my final verdict for SummerSlam is a 9 out of 10. Most of that comes from the main event. Without it, I probably wouldn't give the show about an 8 out of 10. But yeah, with that main event, bro, it gets bumped up a point. 9 out of 10, guys, my final verdict. So as always, leave your thoughts down in the comments what you guys thought of the show. You guys hype for Triple H now running things. Leave that down in the comments, guys. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you like. At least search the box below. And it's always meant for more. See you guys next time.